Welcome to a new episode from English Plus Podcast. Today we're going to talk about grammar and we will talk about both, either, and neither. Now these three words can get confusing, and by the end of this episode, you will learn how to use them properly without making mistakes, without getting confused. So without further ado, let's start talking about both, either, and neither. Now, what do we use them for? We use both, neither, and either for two things. Two. When we talk about two things, not for two things. When we want to talk about two things, not three or more, we use both, neither, or either. Now, you can use these words with a noun. For example, you say both books or neither books. For example, you're going out to eat. There are two possible restaurants. You say both restaurants are good. There are two possible. Remember, the number is always two, not three or more. Okay? So both restaurants are good. Not the both, by the way. Don't say the both restaurants, just both. Both restaurants are good. Or you say neither restaurant is expensive. And pay attention here how we said both restaurants with an S, but when we use neither, we said neither restaurant is expensive. Or we can say we can go to either restaurant. I don't mind. One or the other. It doesn't matter which. We can go to either restaurant. When you say neither restaurant is expensive, that means we can go to both if we want because they're not expensive. Neither restaurant is expensive. Neither is negative. Either, here we can go to either restaurant. I don't mind. I like both. It doesn't matter which. Or you say, I haven't been to either restaurant before. Not one or the other. You can also use both, neither, or either without a noun. You can say, for example, which do you prefer, basketball or tennis? Somebody asks you this question, or between any two other things. And you might say, it's hard to say. I like both. You don't have to say, I like both. That means basketball and tennis. No, I like both. You can use both, neither, or either without a noun. Another example, is your friend British or American? You can answer, neither. She's Australian. She's not British. She's not American. You don't have to say all that. You can simply say, neither. Neither. She's Australian. Or, do you want tea or coffee? Either. I don't mind. I have no problem. I like both. And at this very moment, I don't have a problem with drinking tea or drinking coffee, so either. So here is how we can use both, either, and neither. Now, of course, first we will focus on the meaning, but now let's dig in a little bit deep and see about some nuances, grammatical nuances. Now, when we use both of, or neither of, or either of. Now, we use both of, neither of, either of, plus the, these, my, Tom's, etc. So we say both of the restaurant, both of those restaurants, etc. But not both of restaurants, just like that. Both of the, both of these, both of my, both of your, etc. Let's take a look at some examples. Both of these restaurants are good. Both of these. So here we use these. Neither of the restaurants we went to was expensive. Or I haven't been to either of those restaurants. So you see, when we used of after these words, we used one of these words I mentioned, the, these, my, your, etc. Now, notice that you don't need of after both. You can say both of these restaurants are good, or you can simply say both these restaurants are good, both these. You don't have to say of if you don't want to. But if you're in doubt, just use it because it's okay as well. Now, we also use both of, neither of, either of, with us, you, and them. Now, when we're talking about two people, remember, the whole point of both and neither or either, we're just talking about two people. We can't use it to talk about three people or more. You have to remember that. It's very important. It's crucial, actually. So if you're talking about two people, you can use both of, neither of, or either of with us, you, or them. For example, can either of you speak Russian? You're talking to only two people. You're not talking to a group of people and you say, can either of you? Can either of whom? We're 10 people here. You can't use either. Are you just talking to two of us? You're not talking to the whole group. You're just talking to two of us. You should say, which two are you talking to? But here, if you want to talk to a group of people, instead of saying can either of you should say can any of you. Now, any, because here we're talking about a group of people, it can be any number. But when you talk to only two people, you can say can either of you speak Russian? Or let me give you another example. I asked two people how to get to the station, but neither of them knew. Neither of them. Now, you know the number of them here because obviously the word them can refer to two people or more. Here, because we used neither, you already know that the number is two. So I asked two people how to get to the station, but neither of them knew. We say both of before us, you, or them. And in this case, you need of. Now, remember, I said earlier that you don't need of after both. Sometimes, if you don't want to use it, you don't have to. But if you want to use it before us, you, or them, you have to use of because we can't say both us, both you. You have to use of. So you say, for example, both of us were tired. Not both us. Both us doesn't work. Both of us were tired. Now, after neither of, a verb can be singular or plural. If you say, for example, neither of them is at home, that's fine. Or you can say neither of them are at home. That's also fine. I know some of you have been wondering about that, but it is okay to use is or are, or actually use singular verbs or plural verbs after neither of. Now, what else? Now, obviously, there's the combination that we use both with and, neither with nor, either with or. So these are combinations, and you have to respect the combination. You can't just change it. You can't say neither and, either nor. It doesn't work this way. You use both with and, neither with nor, either with or. Don't worry, I'll give you some examples to clarify this point. Let's start with both and. You say both Chris and Paul were late. Both Chris and Paul. But when you use both and you want to talk about those two people, you want to mention those two people, you use and. Both Chris and Paul were late. Or, I was both tired and hungry. So, I was both tired and hungry. Not I was both tired nor hungry. It doesn't work. It doesn't make any sense. But I was both tired and hungry when I arrived home. Now, what about neither nor? Now, neither nor, you're talking about just the opposite. Now, both is giving you a yes, meaning for both, Chris and Paul were late. Who was late? Chris was late. Paul was late. Both Chris and Paul were late. But if you want to say the opposite, use neither nor. Chris was on time. Paul was on time. So neither. Okay? Now, neither Chris nor Paul came to the party. So who came to the party? Neither. Chris didn't come to the party. Paul didn't come to the party. So neither Chris nor Paul came to the party. What if they came to the party? What if they both came to the party? You use both. You say both Chris and Paul came to the party. And by the way, you might say, can I say both Chris and Paul didn't come to the party? Well, that's so awkward and don't use it. Use neither Chris nor Paul came to the party. Or there was an accident outside our house, but we neither saw nor heard anything. We neither saw nor heard anything. So here, neither is used with nor. Both with and, neither with nor, either with or, not with nor. Remember that. Let me give you an example here. I'm not sure where Maria's from. She's either Spanish or Italian. One of these two options, not both. She's not both Spanish or Italian. She can be. She can be both Spanish and Italian. She can have two nationalities, but that's not the point. I am not quite sure where she is from. She is either Spanish or Italian. She's one of those, I'm pretty sure, but I don't know exactly which one. She's either Spanish or Italian. So here, when you have two options and one of them is okay or one of them is right, you can use either or. Neither means both are wrong or both are not, whatever you want to say. Both, that means both of them are, whatever you want to say. Either is either one of them. You're just talking about one of them, and because of that, we use or. So I am not sure where Maria's from. She's either Spanish or Italian. Another example. Either you apologize or I'll never speak to you again. You have two options. If you apologize, I'll forgive you. If you don't apologize, that's the other option. I'll never speak to you again. So either you apologize or I'll never speak to you again. So these expressions or these words can be used in a lot of useful ways. And that is the point of grammar. I keep saying that over and over. Don't think about grammar as just rules and this kind of school thing that we hate. It is not. Grammar is a tool, or grammar tools, actually. We have a lot of tools in grammar. They help you express yourselves better. That's the point of grammar. And if you're learning a point of grammar, whether from this podcast, from a book, from anywhere else, it doesn't matter where you learn it. The most important thing is that you know it, right? But if you are learning a piece of grammar and you have absolutely no idea where to use it or how to use it in the real world, just drop it. Don't learn it until you learn when and how to use it, until you know why is this piece of grammar useful. If you don't get to that point, grammar is pointless. I understand, and I agree with you then. Just like when you just learning grammar and you have no application in real life. Why would I want to use grammar? Why would I want to learn grammar then? That is a valid point. But here, all we're talking about is not just both and. We use it this way. We don't use it that way. Don't think about grammar this way. Think about grammar as a tool. We use these tools, both, neither, either, to talk about things, to write about things, to express ourselves. That's the whole point of learning the grammar of any language in the world, right? So with that being said, let's continue to our very last point. And here we will compare either, neither, both, two things, and any, none, and all that is used for three things or more. That's just the point to wrap up, because it's important to mention the others. Not saying that I will talk about the others. I will talk about the others in another episode. But for this episode, I'm just comparing, just a little comparison so that you have it in mind, and we will talk about it later. We say there are two good hotels here. You could stay at either of them. Both are good. You could stay at either of them. But if I want to say that the number is not two, well, the number is actually a lot more, maybe just three or more. It doesn't matter. But there are many good hotels here. I'm not talking about two anymore. I'm talking about many good hotels here. Can I still say you could stay at either of them? No, because I'm not talking about the number two anymore. I'm talking about more than two. So here you could stay at any of them, not either, at any of them. Okay? What about another example? We tried two hotels. Neither of them had a room, or both of them were full. The same meaning, but we're just using neither and both to say the same thing, right? Neither of them had a room, or both of them were full. But what if I say we tried a lot of hotels, not two? Remember, the number two is closely related, or these words, either, neither, both, they're closely related with the number two. What if the number is not two? What if we say we tried a lot of hotels? Do we still say neither of them had a room? No. We say none of them had a room. And instead of saying both of them were full, we say all of them were full. So remember, if we're talking about we tried a lot of hotels or many hotels or more than two hotels, whatever the number is, we can't use neither or both to express ourselves, or either, obviously, to talk about these hotels or whatever else you want to talk about. We use none or all. But remember, we are going to talk about none, all, many, and any, a lot of in other episodes, because they definitely deserve special attention and a spot in a special episode dedicated for them. Now, that being said, that'll be everything I wanted to share with you about either, neither, and both. And I would like to remind you that there is a lot more you can do on our website. There is practice. Go there and practice the things you've learned right here. It's a very good thing to listen to this. And I highly appreciate it that you're still listening to the episode. That means you're interested, right? If you're interested and if you make it up to this point in this episode, please go to the website. I'm not just doing that to drive more traffic to my website. Well, of course, I want to drive traffic to the website, but I'm not just driving traffic. If you go there, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. There's a custom post created for this episode. And in this post, you can practice the things you've learned. And of course, the audio will be there as well. So you can listen while you're doing some exercises and stuff. So if you want to practice, if this is your goal, definitely take the link. You can find it in the description of the episode. It will take you to EnglishPlusPodcast.com to the custom post we created for this episode. And of course, while you're there, why don't you consider supporting English Plus? Support us so that we can keep all our content free. We don't want to make anything premium. Well, I have to say that I tried. I have to say that we kind of tried going that way, but then we immediately felt that this is not the point of English Plus. English Plus started as a place that is free for all, and we wanted to continue like that. We wanted to stay. We don't want to make some kind of exclusive content. Well, you might say that you're kind of contradicting yourself because you were just saying the opposite last week. And that's right. I agree. I admit that last week was an attempt to make premium stuff. We're not taking anything from our free podcast, but we were trying to make extra premium stuff. But then we felt that this is against our mission. Our mission in the first place. We started English Plus to make quality education. And it's not only English. For those who follow English Plus, you know that we talk about a lot of things, business, culture, literature, etc. We talk about a lot of things, and we would like these words to reach as many people as possible for free, no restrictions, and we would like to continue like that forever. But we need your support. Your support can help us, can guarantee that we can continue with your support. So if you want to support us as well, you can support us on Patreon, become a patron, become a supporter of English Plus on Patreon. There's also the link to that in the description of the episode. Now, with that being said, I would like to thank you very much for listening to another episode from English Plus Podcast. This is your host, Danny. I will see you next time.